I just got a new turntable, but I didn't initially set out to get one. So let's talk about why I picked up the Audio-Technica AT-LP7. Audio-Technica AT-LP7. It is the flagship belt drive turntable from Audio-Technica. This is listed in the Audiophile section of their site, and along with its awesome aesthetics, it sounds and performs really great as well. This is not a paid promotional video or sponsored video. It's not even just a review unit that I'm making for this video. This is my turntable. For some reason, you never hear anyone talk about this turntable. If you look at any of those videos that are listed out there of like top turntables of 2024 or the top 5 turntables out there under $1,000, this turntable never shows up on it for some reason. This might be the best turntable under $1,000, and I actually got it as a refurbished unit. So for the price that I got it, it's absolutely a steal at this price, and you'll probably be able to get it at this price too if you can find it either in an open box situation or a refurbished like I did. But let's open this thing up from the box and see what we get. Here is the packaging that it comes in, and like I mentioned, this is a refurbished item. I actually got this from a company called Just Audio in Maryland, and I'm gonna leave a link for them in the description below because it was an awesome customer experience that I had with them, but this video is also not in any way sponsored by them. The first thing we have out of the box is the AC adapter, followed by the pre-mounted removable head shell. This is the VM520EB, and the AT-HS10BK head shell. This is supposed to be a nice little cartridge in line with the Ortofon 2M Blue series, but I actually am not gonna be using this cartridge, and I'm gonna be trying to resell this cartridge, so I never have actually tested this cartridge out. Next, we have the counterweight for the tone arm. Pulling this out of the packaging, it's packed very well with all of the heaviest parts at the bottom, starting with the platter. Here is the removable dust cover as well. It has a nice little tint to it. Then we have the Delrin platter, which is matte black and very heavy. This is one of the reasons why I got this table. We also get a pair of RCA cables with a built-in ground wire. I have my own, but it's nice that it comes with them. Also the belt, which is very, very small. And finally, we have the plinth, again, in a matte black finish. And this is made of MDF board, but it is still very heavy and very thick. The total weight of this turntable, I think excluding the dust cover, is 18.3 pounds. Here is the all black J-shaped tone arm, and we also have the adjustable feet here as well. On the back, we have our connections, and this does have a built-in phono stage. I will not be using that. We'll be getting more into that later. It is nice that you can turn it off. Here are all the parts out of the box laid out. As we learned in the 10 bullets video from Tom Sachs and Van Neistat, always be knolling. Setup for this turntable is extremely easy. You slide the platter down the spindle, attach your belt, put on your counterweight to the tone arm, attach your removable head shell, and basically you're set to go to start dialing in all your settings. You know, plug in your RCA cables and you're set. So it's a pretty basic turntable setup in that regard. We're not talking about anything super high end here. And it does have very large isolation feet that are able to dial it in very easily. And the isolation feet work very well. I walk around here, I have a hard floor right in front of my turntable here. I should have a carpet somewhere in this room. At some point I'll get like a throw rug or something, but we have hardwoods all throughout the whole house. So anytime anybody's walking through, I never hear any vibrations through this turntable, but I am pretty sure that there are probably some micro vibrations that are coming through just in the way that I have this set up. The fact that there is this shelf, which is sitting right on my floor and the turntable's on that, I'm sure there are micro vibrations coming through. So one day I will actually look into mounting this turntable directly to the wall or to the studs of the wall in the house, because I have been told that that really does help out with the soundstage and get a lot of those micro vibrations out of the situation. This is a fully manual turntable, so the tone arm will not start the spindle when you pull it out, and it also will not stop when you get to the end of a record. So you have to be there or else your stylus will run into the label of your record. They do offer an auto lift. Audio-Technica sells an auto lift that is compatible with this turntable. However, I don't use it. I just listen to my records and pull the thing off when I'm done. For this turntable, the on switch is the speed selector, so there's not a separate power button. It's not completely manual that you have to turn the spindle yourself. It will actually start when you select your speed, and it is nice that you don't have to move the belt along. It does have two different speed selectors, 33 and 45. If you do want to play 78s, this is not your turntable. I don't have any 78s. Two of the main features about this turntable are the J-shaped tone arm and the Delrin platter. At least that's two of the things that I've seen a lot of people talk about in some of the reviews for this. I'm not really sure what makes the uniqueness of the J-shaped tone arm. I know a lot of times tone arms are usually S-shaped or straight. I've seen on a lot of higher end turntables, like way higher end turntables, that the tone arms tend to be straight. So this is kind of like, I guess, a bridge between both worlds. It is a lot longer than a normal tone arm, and the tone arm is fully within threshold and tolerance of using most cartridges out there, including, I would say, all the high-end cartridges that Audio-Technica sells. And so we'll get into a little bit more of that later when we talk about some of the other features of the table. Another good feature about this table is the Delrin platter. Now, it's unique in the sense that I don't see any other turntables out there in this range with a Delrin platter. This platter is extremely heavy. It's a lot heavier than the acrylic platter that's on my Fluence RT85. However, the total weight of the Fluence and the total weight of this are not that far off. I think this is only about 2 pounds heavier than the Fluence, but that might be within the Delrin platter for this. Apparently, a Delrin platter gives a warmer tone to the vinyl. I happen to like either an acrylic or Delrin platter personally, because I don't like having any type of platter mat on my table. I don't like any of those felt mats or anything like that. Anytime I get any kind of a record mat or something like that, they just go into a box that I just collect of them. Another thing about this table, and something that I think separates it from a lot of the other turntables in this class, besides the Delrin platter, is the fact that the tone arm is fully adjustable from the base of the tone arm to allow adjustments for the vertical tracking angle, which is pretty big if you want to try out different cartridges. For example, the Ortofon 2M Black is a nude Shibata stylus, and Shibata styluses need a little bit more precision from their vertical tracking angle to dial it in to their precise sound versus, say, even the 2M Bronze or the 2M Blue. And I can attest to this using all three of those cartridges and using two of those cartridges on this table itself. Having the ability to dial in the vertical tracking angle really can help, especially if you're getting into really high-end cartridges like moving coil ones. They're a lot thicker, so you're gonna need to raise that tone arm base in order to handle that. The speed of the turntable is very accurate. Now, I don't use anything exact or crazy to measure the speed. I have an app on my phone that I downloaded for free. I lay it on the phone and it spins around and it tells me what the average spin is after, spinning for a little bit. And both the 45 and the 33 spin almost exactly at 33 1/3 and at 45 RPM. So I've also never noticed anything with like listening to a lot of strings or a lot of sustained vocals or even like acoustic stuff like that. I don't notice any like warbling or any, I don't know if warbling is an official sound. I think flutter may be the proper term. I haven't noticed any of those types of things with this table yet. I've been using this table for about 6 months now, and I wanted to use this table for about 6 months before I made this review because I wanted to be able to see a lot of the little quirks in it, and I wanted to be able to get through a lot of the things with it to make a proper review on this and not just like pull it out, use it for a day, and give my review on it. So I've been using this thing for 6 months now, and there are some things about it that I don't really like, so we'll get into those now. If you're watching this video because you're considering buying a new turntable, you should definitely also consider subscribing to this channel because it's free. You don't have to pay anything to subscribe here, and you could learn about other turntables or other audio equipment or other things of that nature. So subscribe today. My biggest gripe about this turntable is that it does have a built-in phono stage. Now, for a lot of people, that's probably gonna be a huge plus, because if you don't have the money to buy a phono stage separately after buying this table, then you'll be able to listen right away. And that's awesome, and that is cool, and maybe that is one of the reasons why they considered including it here. I think that Audio-Technica should have left it out of this turntable and left it into the AT-LP7. What is nice is that you can turn off the phono stage on this. I have tried out the built-in phono stage with this versus any other external phono stage, and even cheap external phono stages sound way better than the built-in phono stage of this. I don't know if there's any sound issues that I'm gonna hear audibly when I have this thing turned off. And I did actually ask Just Audio about that when I was getting this, because it was like my biggest reservation. I was like, you know, am I gonna hear things with this, or like some kind of frequencies or something? And they say no. And I'm sure that there are gonna be people out there that say, yes, you can hear something because there is something hooked up. There's electronics involved, so something's happening in there. But I don't know. I don't personally hear it in my listening, and it hasn't affected my ability to enjoy this turntable. And the fact, like I said, that you can turn it off, which I think on the Audio-Technica AT-LP120, you actually have to like manually bypass it by like doing some wiring or something like that. So the fact that you can turn it off is nice, and I do appreciate that. They have it listed in the Audiophile section of their website, so you would think that audiophiles would not want this in there. Another thing that probably is the biggest gripe on the daily usage of this turntable is the dust cover. And there's a lot of people, when I have seen some of the reviews on this, even though there are not many reviews of this turntable out there, some of the reviews that I have seen on it, all of them mention the dust cover. There are no hinges for the dust cover on this turntable. Now, again, in an audiophile world, you don't want to use a dust cover on your turntable. However, the dust cover is very large. It's a very large dust cover that you can see here, and I personally have nowhere to put it. Now, I'm gonna actually make another video in the future because I've kind of figured out a little bit of a solution that I think might work. But like, I right now just kind of put it on my couch when I'm sitting here, but I don't want to put it on the couch because I know that something's gonna get, you know, scratched with it or something like that. So the fact that I don't even have the option to use it with the dust cover is kind of a pain in the butt. I know that super high-end turntables, like in the $10,000 range, don't even have dust covers at all. So the fact that it even has one is a nice feature. Again, it's kind of like the phono stage thing, good and bad. Now, all this talk about the turntable and how does it actually sound? This is kind of a tricky thing, right? I mean, what makes the sound of your system? I personally feel like the cartridge and the phono stage are providing probably like 90% of the sound that you're hearing. If your turntable is solid, if it spins at the correct speed, and it always does, and the performance of that is great, and you don't have vibrations coming through the table because the table's not solid, I think you're pretty much set to go with a turntable. A lot of people talk about different, you know, sounds that they get from a turntable, and if they're not using the exact same cartridge and the exact same phono stage and the exact same setup in all those ways, I don't know how you're hearing different things. This turntable has solid feet, it has a solid plinth, that Delrin platter is awesome and heavy, so the sound of this turntable is very nice, and I think it has a nice warm sound. In comparison of using the Ortofon 2M bronze, I used that on both the Fluence RT85 and on this, and this seemed to have a warmer sound with the bronze on this table. So if the turntable's giving me characteristics of that, then I am hearing that, but I don't know. I honestly don't know if that's what I'm hearing or not. I think I'm hearing more of the cartridge and the phono stage combination, but you know, again, another thing to debate about in the comments below. Let's talk about the value and the price of this turntable. I've kind of hinted on this many times here, but I think the value of this turntable and what you're getting for the price, even at its full retail price, is extremely good, and it punches higher, in my opinion, than a lot of the other turntables in the class that it's in. We're talking about the class up to about $1,000. I would say that if you're going above $1,000, you should probably be going way above $1,000. I have seen even turntables that are higher priced than $1,000 than this one. In fact, when I first went to Just Audio to get this turntable, they initially were trying to talk me into either like a music hall, or I think they were also talking about the new dual turntables, both direct drive options. And I think that's just because they prefer direct drive turntables. But in both of those situations, those turntables are way out of my price range. I don't want to pay $1,500 for them. I don't think either one of those turntables either has the vertical tracking angle adjustment. I know that the vertical tracking angle adjustment is not an end-all be-all thing, and you can make certain adjustments with things like with the Rega. I know that you can put shims in, and I know that you could even just like put more platter mats on or something like that. There are ways that you can get around it if your turntable can't handle it. And a lot of people would also argue too that with a lot of the tone arms nowadays and cartridges, it's not even that important. However, it does offer it. One thing that I look for in basically a lot of the stuff that I do, even with camera equipment or with like my computers, or also with my audiophile or hi-fi equipment, is the ability to grow and then the ability to outgrow that equipment. And what I mean by that is this turntable is, I think, the first step in getting to the next level of high fidelity stuff in my system here. At this point, I'm gonna upgrade the amplifier and the speakers and things after that. And if I go really high end with those things, I still think that this turntable is gonna serve me well before I would have to step up to, say, a $15,000 turntable, which is, I think, where the next step would be after something like this. So the fact that this turntable is in this price range below $1,000, and the fact that you could get it as an open box option, used option, or refurbished option for way less than that, I mean, it's a no-brainer in a steal of the value versus the performance of this table and where it could take you with the rest of your audio equipment. I've heard a lot of people say that these turntables are entry level, and I actually am gonna make a video about this, speaking about this in the future. These are entry level, but they are entry level to super high-end audiophile stuff. This is not entry level to actual like getting into a turntable, because I would say that an AT-LP7 or even a Crosley suitcase player is an entry level turntable, something that's fully automatic, something that doesn't allow you to change anything or make any adjustments. You just turn it on and go, and that's it. This is an entry level to super high-end audiophile stuff. This is going to allow you to get into the next level of hi-fi equipment. Let's talk about looks. Even though I know a lot of people in the hi-fi world don't give a crap about what the equipment looks like, I personally do. This is sitting in my living room, and my wife has to see it every day, and anybody that walks into my house is going to see this. So I would like it to actually look nice. And I think that this looks very awesome and very sleek with its matte black finish. And like I said, I added the Ortofon 2M black cartridge, not because it's all black, but it's cool that it is, and they all really go well together. Everything on the table, all the metal is black, the tone arm is black, so it was just awesome to add the 2M black cartridge to it and just make this whole thing look very stealth and awesome looking. Does that affect the sound at all? No, it doesn't, but it does affect your enjoyment on using the device and wanting to use the device more and more. When I come over to it every day, it's not covered in dust, or at least the dust is not as visible because it's matte black instead of a gloss finish. I feel like this is a good medium in between like some of the more thin style platter tables out there and the DJ style table. This is like a good hybrid right in between all of those. It has a nice aesthetic to it, no sharp edges. It's kind of round on the edges, which I like too. And I just think it looks very nice. It's a great looking turntable. So I'm not sure why this turntable doesn't show up in more reviews, doesn't show up in more of the lists of the tables in this price range, but I can say that I didn't even know about this turntable when I did research turntables to go and get my previous one. And then my friend went out and got one, and when I saw all the features on it and I saw the operation of it when he had it, I went and looked it up and I found this refurbished one, and I had to go get it. It definitely punches way above its price range, and I would say that it's probably the best turntable under $1,000. I'm just gonna put it out there, and if you don't agree with that, Let me know in the comments below why you don't agree with that and what your arguments are for that. I would love to hear them. I'm not gonna go buy another different turntable at this point, so don't try to like convince me to go buy one. If other companies would like to send me a different turntable to try out, I'd be more than willing to do that, especially super high-end ones or something like that. If Michelle Audio or something like that's listening and they wanna send out a turntable for me to go try out compared to something like this, and why you might wanna consider getting into one of those, I'd be more than about reviewing one of those. But at this point, I'm not considering buying anything else. This is the turntable I'm gonna be using for quite some time. I'm probably gonna upgrade all the equipment around this turntable first, and then the cartridge as well, and that's probably gonna be years. So I will have this turntable for a while, or at least I should. Like I said, unless somebody wants to send another one out to me, I'm definitely not opposed to trying out something and, you know, seeing what we can get. If you enjoyed this video, you're probably gonna like some of the others on the channel, like these reviews here about some other audio equipment or some vinyl records. I'm gonna go listen to my Audio Technica AT-LP7 and chill. I will see you on the next one.